Do you want to just mute yourself, Tasha? Yeah, so let's just give Terry until 6:05, and if she's not here, we can get started. I haven't heard from her one way or another, so I don't know. Oh, hey, Terry. Okay. Well, let's get started. It's 6:03. I'll call the meeting to order. The first item on our agenda is the opportunity for the public to address the committee. I do not see anybody from the public here. Is that right in the room?
That's correct.
Okay, so I will declare opportunity for public comment closed. The next item on the agenda is staff reports. Ryan and Sherry?
Am I unmuted? Okay.
Yes.
So one of the things in the quarterly packet when we did in September showed that we needed to provide an update on the debt service schedules, that we hadn't included the debt that was issued at the end of the year. When I went back and looked at those schedules, they actually were included. They were updated. So the two schedules that you see in your packet, the serial bond summary and the detail of debt outstanding, are indeed updated documents. So that gives you the total. The next page, and what I wanted to show you was this went out in March. This was Bill Lindsay, I believe, came out and did a presentation. I don't know if it was to the finance committee or to the council as a whole, but Bill Lindsay did a presentation on the debt impact of the new schools. And this is the schedule that he provided in that presentation. And the detail of debt that we have here comes directly from this. So there's one other schedule that
Can I ask you a question? When was that presented to whom? Do you know?
March, it was March of
Oh, okay.
22.
All right.
Yeah, it
And
was either a finance committee meeting or a full council meeting. My vague recollection is that it was a finance committee meeting.
Yeah, I agree with that. Bill did it was on our agenda. Bill did a presentation there, and yeah.
So the one other thing that I didn't have time to get in the packet is just the roll forward, and that's the one that didn't get updated. But we don't really have it. So should I do it at the next meeting?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't want to confuse things. So this is all set. The debt was updated in those schedules, and it agrees with what Bill Lindsay presented and what actually transpired in May. The other thing on staff reports I was just going to share with you is the page after that is schedule of changes in net OPEB liability. I understood there were some questions about the net OPEB liability and how funded we were. So this schedule comes directly from the actuarial report for the disclosure notes for the audit report. So it's a little different than the valuation they're working on now, but this schedule that goes in the audit report does give you some of the information that you're looking for. It's not a full breakdown. Once I get the full breakdown, I'll share that with you. If the committee is interested in having Hooker and Holcomb come out and do a refresher on OPEB and what it means and how it's calculated, let me know.
I think that would probably be good to arrange.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time since he's been out or they've been out to
And Terry's come
explain it.
on, so
Yeah, a lot of new members.
So am I reading that correctly, that things are getting better?
Things are getting better.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good.
Yes, so as you can see, so the column on the far right is 2018. The column to the left, 2022, is the most recent. The simplest number to look at is the planned towards the bottom, the third line from the bottom, planned fiduciary net position as a percentage of total OPEB liability. We were at 13.67 in 2018. We are now at 64.1%.
Oh,
So our net OPEB liability is 1.1 million. So that's really good. We have a limited window with how many years we have to get caught up on this so that it doesn't impact our bond rating and things like that. But being able to take the surplus from the health insurance fund made a huge difference here, huge difference. The other thing is that these figures are the town and board combined. So the board's pretty much 100%. They're like maybe 95% funded. So
board
the
plural or board Mansfield?
Mansfield.
Okay.
Regions are totally separate on this. It's just Mansfield board. So the majority of this 1.1 million is on the town side. Okay. And that's all I had for staff reports.
And I have nothing to add.
Okay, great. The next item on the agenda then is approval of our minutes from the November meeting. Is there a motion? Is there, Al, do you second?
I'll second that.
All right, is there any discussion, additions, corrections? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, we don't have any old business tonight, so then the next item is new business. The first item of new business is the proposed FY 22-23 salary budget transfers, which appear, I guess our packets don't have page numbers. They appear after the documents Sherry just referenced. So I will turn it over again to Sherry to go through them.
Okay, so in my 28, 29 years now, I have never seen one that actually looks like this. These are all reductions. In some ways helpful, in other ways not helpful, but so we have a few departments that are not reflected here because they're still very much in flux. So we're not sure exactly when the position's going to be filled. For example, human resources. We don't, it wasn't worth us trying to figure out where we were going to be, go wrong, have you move the money into contingency and then have to pull it back again. So what we did was take the departments that we were pretty sure of where they were going to be by the end of the year. And that's what these accounts reflect. They're all decreases at this point. The only department that we may see an increase on, and we don't have that defined yet, that I'm seeing is fire because of their overtime. But they have savings in other lines. So I don't want to move things yet until we know if we're really going to need it there. So what this will do is put all these reductions into contingency for future use. And if we get savings from some of the other departments that we haven't settled, this will give us a chance to look at the bucket as a whole, and you can decide as we move towards the end of the year what you might want to do with that contingency balance.
This really says we're having a hard time filling vacancies.
We
doesn't
are
it?
having a very hard time. Yeah, crazy.
Maybe a 4-day work week will help with that.
You think?
Won't hurt.
Mhm.
I won't claim that it solves all the problems.
All right, so are there any questions about the transfers?
Nope.
All right, then I will entertain a motion to recommend their adoption or approval by the town council.
So moved.
Al, you second?
I second that.
Okay, is there any discussion? If not, then let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
This is as of January 1st. These changes, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Basically, the end of the
Mhm. Right.
first 6 months.
Yes. Mhm.
We don't know what's gonna happen in the second 6 months.
Mhm.
So there could be more money available or less money available depending
Mhm.
on the
I do
hires.
think though that I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you propose these numbers, I think like using human resources as an example, you targeted numbers that you thought sort of based on a quote unquote year-end projection, based on where you thought things would end up, what the savings would be.
Right, right.
So, right.
So these were the ones we were relatively comfortable with, that we thought we weren't gonna see a lot of changes.
Okay,
Other departments, human resources, where we have a temp in, Lee filling in on a temporary basis. That we don't know when that position would end and a new one would start.
right,
So we're thinking, worst comes to worst, if he stays on through the end of the year, we're right in the ballpark of where we should be. So we didn't want to pull any money out, assuming we were going to make a hire and then not make that hire.
All right, well, then the next item on the agenda is our proposed meeting schedule for 2023. This is the same schedule that we've had, which is meeting before the first council meeting of the month at 6 o'clock. The only thing I'll say is, because that limits us to an hour or 55 minutes or so before we have to get into the council meetings, that if there's things that need to take time on our agenda, that we should plan on having special meetings for that. We really can't meet any earlier because of Al's schedule. And I think but I think it's better to continue to meet before council than to find another day of the week entirely where we can spend several hours. Al?
Ben, yeah. I've had a change in my work schedule, which actually is going to benefit a lot of people, myself the most. I am now working part-time, and I am available to meet at 5:30 going forward.
Okay, that's great. Why don't we set these meetings for 5:30 then? I guess it's that. So why don't we do that, and we can always move them later when we notice the meetings if they have a light agenda or something, just so we don't have to all hang out at town hall for an hour before council starts or something along those lines.
I think that'd be good. Yeah.
Okay, let's do that then. So if folks are good with the schedule, otherwise, does that work for staff, by the way? Yeah, okay. So if folks are good with the schedule, otherwise, then I will entertain a motion to adopt the meeting schedule with the change to move the start time to 5:30.
I'll make that motion. And
Moved by Al. Terry, do you second? Seconded by Terry. Is there any further discussion on it? All right, if not, then all in favor, say aye.
aye.
All right,
I have a request, though. My request is to the staff. I don't know who would do this. Could you send out invitations, save your calendar thing for the entire schedule? Because I tried to put in town council meetings and it turned out to be one of those where if I added or council changed it, it went to everybody. So if it could come from, if you would populate my calendar. Both.
If you change the name a little bit, you can get rid of that.
I-
So, no,
yeah.
if you just if you just got I went to TC.
Yeah, I did too, but
Because that's, because because there've been Zoom meetings and stuff, the iPhones are a mess because they're trying to use.
yeah. but there are 24 of them, and if you guys could just send them out all at once, it would save the rest of us a lot of work.
Okay. Work on that.
Yeah, I agree. Just getting them on our calendars in advance period would be helpful so that those of us who forget, will see it there.
Right.
Me among them.
I bought
Okay, so that,
it for a symphony orchestra on a February Monday that I didn't realize was a council meeting.
all right, so that's our new business. Is there any communications, other business? Or future agendas from either of the committee members besides the OPEB presentation?
I might just say, and I'll mention this briefly in the town council meeting, but we've sort of officially kick-started our master planning and financial sustainability strategy for Parks and Rec. And so we're putting together kind of the engagement plan or schedule for that, all the different, one-on-ones and focus groups and all the stakeholders work that the firm that we're going to be working with is going to be executing starting in February. So stay tuned, because the council, finance committee in particular, but really the full council will have an opportunity to share your perspectives on not just the financial piece, but kind of the big picture. And the firms made aware, I made sure that they were aware that, we really need to wrestle with not just how do we take the existing revenue model and make it work better, but actually take a step back from that, because the council's expressed some inclination to really think about, and not just the community center, but Parks and Rec in general.
Yep.
What sort of dependency, it should be on user fees versus general fund versus whatever. And so they know that that's kind of really a foundational thing that needs to be wrestled with before we get too much into the specific strategies around the current
It
model.
was one of the very few things I agreed with Rick Hasek on. That it should be free to every town resident.
Great, well, look forward to working with them and talking with them at the
I'm very
committee.
impressed. Had a couple meetings,
Mhm.
they're Colorado-based firm, 110%, and I really think, and it's not just the one firm, they have some subcontractors involved on the engagement piece and some ADA accessibility, ADA compliance stuff, and they're just really, really insightful. So I think we're gonna get a lot out of this.
Great,
The only other thing was, as I was getting the minutes ready for tonight to get started, I realized that you had asked for the shared services to be on the agenda. And I kind of missed that as a reoccurring item.
Oh, just,
Right, but we don't really have anything on it, and we probably won't for a while. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking, we'll wait until we have more before we put it on the agenda.
so maybe
I think
just,
that's fine.
yeah, I think real quick on that topic. So for this year's budget, we had some group dialogue, town, Region 19, Mansfield Public Schools, about what assumption should we be basing our upcoming year budget on in terms of the relationship between the entities. And so basically, what I suggested, and I think the two superintendents agreed, was that given that we're in the budget season now, let's assume for a continuation of the existing arrangement, which is a longstanding arrangement, at least for the budget year, the FY24 budget year, so starting July 1. So basically, minimum about a year and a half of continuation the same. And then
Mhm.
over the next, 6 months or so, obviously, we need to start the discussion about what do we want that relationship to be moving forward? Does what we have work? Do we need to make some adjustments? But it wouldn't have any budgetary impact in the immediate term.
Right.
That makes sense, and I think you should keep us
Yep.
informed as there's things to inform us on, but if you don't have active work going on, I don't think we need to keep it as a standing agenda item.
Great.
All right, is there anything else? We have a very short finance committee meeting then. We'll see you all in a little while. Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second by Al. All right, we are adjourned. I will see you all at 7.
Thank you.
Good night. I think we broke all kinds of records.